What's up, guys? It's Scotty here with Will Ball for Soup. Now, I know it's been a while since we last spoke. There's a good reason for that. So last year when the channel was uploading frequently, I was only working part-time. But this year, I'm working full-time in the paintball industry, and that's consuming a lot of my energy. So the energy that went into the channel is now going into my work. That being said, this video is only possible because of the footage from FPS Paul at Violence Media. Paul dropped a video on PB Nation at the WCPPL, and that thing is sick, man. It's got GoPro footage, it's got interviews. Paul is a professional filmmaker, and this is some bonus footage he had, and he gifted it to me so I can drop a life story over it. So hey, shout out to Paul, subscribe to FPS Paul, support the violence movement. But hey, let's get right into this life story, guys. This story starts when I was pretty young. I was maybe 15 or 16, just got my driver's license, and that was when I became dedicated to tournament paintball. So I would drill one day a week, and I'd do scrimmages another day a week. So this is about my second year of playing regular tournaments. I was playing a 3-man series in Wisconsin, and I was playing a 5-man, it might have been D3 5-man at the Chi-Town series at the Badlands. Now, the phenomenon of players getting burnt out of tournament paintball is nothing new. That's why you see a lot of people today gravitating towards like the Iron City Classic and mech events. And what one of our teams that we scrimmaged, like our brother team, they were the older guys and we were the high school kids. They were like, hey, we're getting kind of burnt out. So let's all mob to this scenario game and have a really fun day at paintball. Now, normally I was just so dedicated to tournament play, I never showed up to scenarios. Like maybe when I was like a 12-year-old or a 10-year-old, when I was just getting started, scenarios were awesome for me. But as I grew more into paintball as a sport, paintball as being an athlete, I kind of shunned that scenario play. Back in the day, my 2002 Jeep did not have any GPS, and cell phone GPS was not as developed as it is today. So we showed up to this thing a good hour late, and that's okay. We just made it. We made it somewhat on time, but we missed the orientation, we missed the mission briefing. We just got there, paid our dues, and hopped into these battles. And it was a lot of fun. There were probably over 100 people at this scenario game. There were tons of targets. And there was kind of this, you guys are tournament players, what the hell are you doing here? So there's a divide between the tournament guys and the ghillie suit, tactical, sniper, those guys. The drama started when we were playing a small skirmish on these big cable spools. Now, I don't know if you guys have seen these on a rec ball field before, but they're kind of these big circular bunkers that cables are wrapped around. They're pretty cheap to acquire, and they actually make for pretty decent bunkers. So we were about to win this battle on this big spool field, and all I had to do to close out the game was run through the 50, clear out whoever was left, and then we would totally have that section, that battle, and we'd win the points. Now, in my mind, when we are up on bodies in any paintball situation, especially as a back player, I love to close out games. So my instincts, my tournament paintball instincts, led me to close out this game in the same manner I would on an X-ball field. So what I did was I got up and I ran directly at this guy's spool. Now, when you're making a run through, you run directly at the bunker, you gauge which side he's shooting out of. So if he's shooting out of the left, you run through his right. And that's exactly what happened. I caught this guy completely slipping. So he was shooting out the right, I ran directly at his spool, came through his left side, and put maybe 5 or 6 balls on his pod pack from about maybe 2 or 3 feet away. And that's a normal play. That's something that happens all the time in tournament paintball. Like if I get bunkered in a tournament or a team practice, I recognize that's my fault for not having good field awareness. And you know what, I'll take it as a lesson. I'll get off the field. Maybe I'll stare the guy down, but I'll just get out of there, be mad at myself, and get better. So I do a real clean run through. I bunker this guy out with 6 balls. And his reaction was just so out of line and so crazy. It's something that I've remembered to this day. The ref in this situation did the best job he could. He quickly ran over and saw us kind of getting into it. He's like, put your barrel bags on, let's get off the field and we'll talk about it. So I follow the ref in this pissed off ghillie suit warrior with his double trigger A5 flatline barrel buttstock special. And we follow each other off the field, and we kind of talk about it with this ref in between us mediating. And it was true. The ghillie suit warrior knew the ref, he knew most of the staff there, and he was really trying to do everything in his power to get me banned. So the first thing we did was we put my gun on the chrono again to make sure it was shooting under 300 and my ramping wasn't over 12.5 or 13.3. I can't quite remember what the cap was, but my gun was shooting perfectly. I play tournaments, I maintenance my own guns. I wasn't gonna roll into this thing with like gun cheats or velocity cheats, because that's just not who I am. I wanna play with a fair, legal gun, no matter what the setting. So he's watching me chrono my gun, and it's under 300, and I'm not shooting over 12.5 BPS. And the ref is like, hey, listen, man, his gun is legal. The reason why your pods broke was because of the close quarters engagement. And I said, all right, so this is settled, my gun is legal, let me get back in there and start playing more scenario points, more scenario battles, and help out my team. And the ref's like, hold up, man, you ran this guy down, and run-throughs in this setting are not allowed. You have to give the player that you're bunkering the option to surrender. And I wanna ask you, did you really give him a chance to surrender, or did you just bunker him? And I'm like, listen, man, I just bunkered him. We showed up an hour late to this thing, and I totally missed the orientation, I missed the rules, but I tried to do my best, and my instincts took over. And the ref is like, all right, man, I'm gonna have to bring a manager over here, and we're gonna talk about this some more. At this point, guys, I wanna ask you a question. Have you ever been kicked out of any paintball event, tournament, rec play, whatever? Has any ref ever ejected you for breaking any rules at a paintball field? Go down in those comments, let me know what happened to you. This is all about starting dialogue. While we're at it, guys, I also wanna know what you think about the surrender rule. Is it way too soft, or is it something that's necessary to ensure that recreational players and scenario players have a positive experience? So the field manager walks over to me, he's like, listen, man, we're not gonna kick you out, but we gotta appease this guy somehow, we gotta make him happy. So what we're gonna do is you're gonna sit here up front and watch the 15-minute orientation video, and after that, I want you to promise me, man, promise me right now that you won't make any more run-throughs, you won't bunker anybody else at the scenario event for the rest of the day. You do that stuff, man, I'll let you back in. So I sit down up front in this little orientation viewing room. It's kind of a movie that they're showing on a projector. And being the kid that I was, I'm just like, dude, I know not to bunker people now. So I kind of snuck out and I grabbed my mom's camera from my car and I started taking a couple pictures and videos of my friends playing paintball. So I was out there for maybe 10, 15 minutes and I snuck back to the orientation viewing area and sat down. So by the time I got back, the guy was coming in to check on me and it was just like perfect timing. So that was kind of one of the first examples of me being both a player and paintball media. And I snuck out, I was solid snake. I managed to infiltrate the orientation area and get myself out of there without anybody noticing. So no, I never even watched the orientation video and I was good to play for the rest of the day. So everything worked out except for one little hitch. Honestly, I'm not an asshole. I wanted to make things right with the guy who I bunkered, and I did break 2 of his lock lids. I shot holes in 2 or 3 of this guy's die lock lids. So I go to my car and I have this big garbage bag full of pods that we use for tournaments. And being a sponsored player, pods are pretty cheap for me. It's not like they're breaking the bank if I give away 2 or I lose 4. It's not like it's gonna kill me. So I find the guy that I bunkered, and I'm like, hey man, here's 4 pods just for you. And he looks at me, shocked. He's like, those aren't lock lids. My lock lids are way better than those pods. I'm like, man, I'm just trying to make things right. Here's some pods, you can take them. If not, have a good day. He's like, I don't want your pods. So I take my 4 basic, I don't know, Gen X Global pods or generic pods, whatever I had, put them back in my garbage bag, and played out the rest of the scenario. Now, some of those pictures that I took when I was supposed to be watching the orientation, I managed to find them, and I'm kind of gonna throw a few of them up here So check those out. This is how OG Will Ball for Soup is. And the other cool thing that I remember about this scenario was one of our tournament guys ended up winning like a 20th anniversary special edition Tipman. So the scenario was a lot of fun. There were a lot of soft targets. Just had a ton of bodies. I got a lot of bodies on my PM6. And my boy won a pretty good prize. Looking back, that was the last scenario event I've ever played. But now as a grown man, I'm definitely looking for a scenario that's a lot of fun and helping me rediscover why I was down with paintball in the first place. All right, guys, I hope you enjoyed this life story. This is Scotty with Will Ball for Soup, signing out. Also, when we get to 10K, no promises, but I have 2 merch ideas, and I actually found somebody to produce it. So if you're looking for that Will Ball for Soup merch, leave a comment if you'd even buy some. Let me know. Let me know how many of you guys are interested. See you soon.